Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is August 10th, 2018, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the economic events of the day, starting out 10:30 out of United Kingdom, monthly GDP numbers coming out and preliminary quarterly GDP numbers coming out. At the same time, monthly manufacturing production numbers are coming out. Nothing really to write home about in terms of this news that's coming out, but in case if there are any surprises, you do want to know about it, especially now that GDP is just breaking down even further and breaking out of bed. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. And then at 2:30 South African time, out of Canada, employment change numbers coming out and monthly CPI numbers coming out of the United States. Now that's an important inflationary number that's coming out. But let's take a look at the markets and see what's been happening.
This conference will now be recorded.
So we're taking a look here at the Euro USD, and as you can see, it's falling out of bed. Okay, really couldn't sustain itself at 1615-ish level yesterday. It just continued breaking down. Once we broke below the moving averages, that's your entry point for sure, especially as we've been flirting with a previous support level of 1584. Now look at that. We continued sliding down to 1525, an extra 60 pips, okay, on the downside. Now we're really flirting with the bottom range here of yearly lows, and not just with a wick, we're trading with a candle, which kind of gives us the suspicion that we'll break out even lower if we do get that momentum on the downside. Now the real catalyst here is the GBP USD breaking out of bed below 128.81 and trading right now on 128.82, and really the next support level, okay, at this you got to look at a weekly graph, excuse me. So the next real support is 127.18. So we still have some way to go down if we continue the slide and a continuation of this correction on the downside. Really disconcerting for the GBP. A lot of issues with the economy, with Brexit, a lot of uncertainty there, and that's really showing itself on the graph. Looking at the Aussie USD, a really great trade this week, especially that it's been trading within a range and really faltering at the top of that range. That's what we look to trade. And beautifully, how long has it been trading this range? For quite some time, as you can see. So we're trading right here at 73.64 and breaking this support level. Let's see if we sustain it, okay? Because if we don't, we could see ourselves getting back to the 73 level, okay? So still that there's relative strength in the Aussie USD. However, okay, it's still breaking down. So keep an eye on that as that continues to trade this week. Now, looking at the Canadian dollar, it's really been trading within a really tight range recently. Okay, nothing to really write home about. As you can see, we've been, below this 130-ish level, okay, but nothing really breaking down further down, okay? So, it seems to suffice it to say, it looks like it's consolidating here, okay, with a tighter range and less opportunities to jump in. Unless we get some sort of surprise in the employment change, I don't see us really shifting in the market. Now, looking at oil, we had this decent sell-off earlier this week from 69 to 66. We're just bouncing off of that at 66.86. Now, this has been a support level, 66.43. However, if we do continue to slide down, all right, we could see a further correction down to the 64, 62-ish level. So keep an eye on that as that continues to trade. Now, we haven't been following the JSC because it's really been very choppy. Okay, this is a graph of a 4-hour graph since, April. We've been trading between the 52 400-ish level and the 49 400-ish level, but really most of the activity has been in this really tighter range. So really very difficult to jump in with some conviction, on the upside or the downside. However, okay, as you're closing in on the upper edge, okay, you could definitely look to short the top range over here and to cover the bottom range on the bottom. So, ultimately some key, as long as you're trading the extremities, I think that you've got some opportunities on the upside and the downside. So keep an eye on that later as that continues to trade later this week. Now, jumping into the Dow Jones, we sold off a little bit yesterday, 150 points. And this is what I was talking about earlier this week and yesterday, is that it ultimately is not breaking up above this 25,600, having some issues. We've had some issues earlier, and really to break above it, we need some momentum on the upside. We need a catalyst, okay, and that's not happening. I'm not sure to say that we're going to be selling off back to the 24,600-ish level, but at this point, we're looking for some sort of catalyst on the upside if we're going to continue this momentum on the upside, and we're not getting it. Okay, looking at the NASDAQ just as well, we sold off yesterday after making, back to our highs of 7,500, selling off about 40 points. There's nothing to really write home about, but it's disconcerting. Okay, Apple looking like it wants to take back above the 2008 level. Okay, really breaking into its highs of the year, and I'd like to see it go above 210. That's actually a roundup number. If it goes to 210, it has a chance to go to 220. If it goes to 210 and doesn't break above it, that might mean that it's going to go back to 200. Okay, for some reason, traders like to see roundup numbers either breached or supported. Okay, and that's what we're getting here looking at this. Now, looking at Facebook, yesterday we had a decent sell-off from $88 a share down to 83, and this is of course after the massive gap and we had the correctional move. So the question is the correctional move on the downside going to continue and retest our lows of 171? Incidentally, I just shared with one of our trading specialists here at CMTrading that Mark Zuckerberg, who's the CEO and founder of Facebook, is selling a hell of a lot of shares. Okay, so that's a little bit disconcerting when the CEO starts selling inside sales, and there's somebody who knows something about something, we always used to say in the markets. So it might further correct itself on the downsides. We've got to take a look at that. Now, earlier this week, we had this massive gap up on Tesla. And this was the news that Elon Musk was going to privatize the company and buy all the shares back at $420 a share, waiting for shareholders' approval. Now that the news has kind of settled down, and the dust has settled, we had this decent sell-off yesterday from 379 down to 352. So the question is that are we going to continue this sell-off, or is this going to hold with the anticipation that there's going to be the stock buyout from Elon Musk? We're trading at 352 and a decent support level here. Now, this is not going to take the NASDAQ up higher, but this is something to really, jump in with some volume. If it does, get that momentum, we'll get that $2 to $3, trade intraday, which is massive. Looking at Bitcoin, lastly, we've sold off down to the 6,300-ish level, as you can see, and holding that support level that we were looking for. Okay, it's still flirting with it, and we're not out of the woods, but we are, at that bottom of the range. So in the anticipation that this will continue trading within these two ranges, might be a decent place to actually start, building a small position in Bitcoin in the anticipation that it's going to trade between the 6,300 and 7,800. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day and a beautiful weekend. Thank you.